How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. All is
You
good.
look fresh.
Just did my workout a little bit later than usual today. So just finished and showered.
Good.
Just all
Have
right.
a great day.
Same to you. Thank you. All right,
Bye.
lady. Come on in, come on in. Today I want to spend some time, a little bit more of an educational video for you today. I mean, they're all educational, but I do want to spend some time today now that, you're getting into the rhythm of this, you're understanding the basic concepts, yani khalas, like there isn't much more for me to really like tell you in terms of the food. Like there's the inflammatory foods, the foods that create toxicity, we're getting rid of those. And there's the foods that replenish deficiencies, we're flooding the body with those. So today I want to talk about, backtrack a little bit to make sure that you actually understand what your hormones are. Because this whole thing is based on balancing your hormones, right? This whole program, everything we're talking about is about balancing your hormones. But and outside of this program, as women, we always talk about, my hormones are going crazy, or my hormones are driving me mad, or there's something wrong with my hormones, or I think something's off with my hormones. But do we actually know what hormones are? Do we actually know where they're produced in the body, what their actual function is, what can cause them to become unbalanced, what are the specific symptoms that accompany certain hormones, and what are, how to know which are the hormones that are imbalanced for you. So you might want to take out a pen and paper for this if you want to take some notes, but what I'm going to cover are the basic hormones, because you have so many hormones. I'm going to cover your sex hormones, your metabolic hormones, and your stress hormones. You have many different types of hormones in the body, like growth hormone or hunger hormones and things like that. Like there's just so many different ones, feel good hormones. And this could literally take days and days and days for me to teach and for you to start to learn. So that's why I just want to focus on the ones that are the most common ones that and by common, I mean, they're the ones that cause the symptoms that we most associate with when these hormones get imbalanced. All right. So since we are here as women, I do want to make sure first that you know the difference between perimenopause and menopause, because there's a lot of confusion there. Menopause is the easy one to figure out. It's easy one to identify. It's when you haven't had your period for 12 months in a row. So not when you get your period for 2 months and then it comes back, or maybe you don't get it for 6 months and then it comes back. It's when you haven't had it for a whole year, 12 months consecutively in a row. If that year gets interrupted by 2 months where you get your period, that's where you're still in perimenopause. So don't confuse, like if your period is starting to act up a little bit now, 1 month yes, 1 month no, 1 month regular, 1 month not regular, 1 month heavy, 1 month not heavy, that's not menopause, that's perimenopause. Typically, perimenopause can start anywhere between, in our mid-30s, anywhere from 35, and last all the way until our late 40s and into our early 50s. It can last that long. And it's perimenopause that we focus on the most as a result, because it's the one that can last the longest. Perimenopause then is when your body is getting ready for menopause. It's when it's getting ready for you to no longer be menstruating, getting ready for you to no longer be able to have babies. Basically, that's all that happens. So make sure you know the difference. There's a little bit of a difference in the symptoms. When you're in perimenopause, which is from mid to late 30s all the way to mid to late 40s, maybe early 50s. This is where we are experiencing what most of you are going through right now, which is the fatigue, waking up with no energy every day, no matter what you do, or having trouble going to sleep, waking up a lot in the middle of the night. You might have muscle and joint pain. You might have the mood swings. One day you're feeling okay and feeling upbeat, and then the next day you feel like the world is about to end, or you might have those same feelings on the same day. This is where we see night sweats start to happen, the hot flashes. This is all the signs that your body's getting ready, and they could be getting ready for 10 years, finally for menopause. And then when you have menopause, where you don't have your period anymore, it would be great to say like that's it doesn't come with any symptoms either, but with menopause you do have the vaginal dryness, because that's it, there's no lubrication, there's nothing going on in there anymore. You can still get hot flashes, you can still get night sweats, you can still have the muscle aches, basically more or less of the same symptoms minus the painful or irregular periods. Here's the thing though about both perimenopause and menopause: we have to go through them. There's no way to avoid them, and we're not going to try. It's part of nature. Like trying to stop perimenopause or trying to stop menopause, like trying to interfere with that process, is like trying to interfere with the 12-year-old or 13-year-old girl who just got her period. Like that's the beginning of the process, and we're at the end of this process. There should not be any medical intervention on either side. The same way that you wouldn't take your girl, your little daughter, when she gets her period and maybe it's painful and maybe it's uncomfortable and maybe it's heavy, you wouldn't go to the doctor and say, oh my God, please stop this, right? We're not going to go to the doctor and say, please stop my perimenopause, or please give me the hormones to stop menopause. You don't do that. This is a natural part of how we're supposed to evolve as women. But here's what we can do, and here's the part that is optional, is the symptoms that accompany perimenopause and menopause. That part is optional. We don't have to go through the night sweats and the lack of sleep and the depression and the anxiety and the moodiness and none of that. Those are optional, and that's what we're doing in this program right now, is to balance, to support your hormones as they go through their natural progression. They're getting a little bit imbalanced because of the information you're giving them, and the information comes in the form of food. But are your hormones supposed to phase out so that you go through perimenopause and menopause? Yes. Are they supposed to become so imbalanced in the process that you are very uncomfortable for 5, 10 years maybe? No. That's the part that we have control over. So I want you to remember that. Perimenopause, menopause, not optional. The symptoms are optional. So let's move on. I want to talk about the 3 types of hormones that you have. And hormones are, let's go back and just talk about what hormones are, right? Hormones are basically chemical messengers in your body. They're produced in certain organs, depending on the type of function, produced in different organs, and then those organs release your hormones all over the body to do whatever it is that they need to do. They have many, many different functions. And the organs that produce your hormones, we call that the endocrine system. And that's basically your thyroid, your ovaries, your pancreas, what else? Pituitary gland. Did I say thyroid? Thyroid, adrenals, produce your cortisol. These are all the organs that produce the different types of hormones. So they need to be in sync. And they're all interconnected. We in conventional medicine, they tend to think of the body in separate systems, separate bits. So if you're, if you have a thyroid condition, you go to the endocrinologist because he's in charge of the endocrine system. And if you have fibroids, you go to your gynecologist because he's in charge of your reproductive system. But the reality is that they're connected, because these are metabolic hormones, your thyroid, and these are your sex hormones in your reproductive system. When one of them is off, it can throw the other ones off. So you want to start to think of your body and your hormones specifically, kind of like an orchestra, kind of like a symphony. They all have to play in tune. They have to follow the same rhythm and play the same notes at the same time, at the same speed. If one of them starts to go too fast, or one is too slow, or one is too loud, or one is not loud enough, it's like a domino effect that affects everything. So your systems are not disconnected from each other. Everything affects everything. And that's why when we say, when you heal the body, you can't just heal one thing and leave one thing. Once you're on a general healing plan, you're going to start to heal things that maybe you weren't even aware or didn't even care to heal. They're going to start to balance naturally, because that's just how the body is. So the first category are your sex hormones. And these are the ones that are affecting most of us in this program, probably the most, because these are the ones that affect your cycle. They affect your period, they affect the length, they affect the time. They're the ones that can give you fibroids, they're the ones that can give you cysts, they're the ones that can give you endometriosis, PCOS, all of that, your sex hormones. And you have 2 main sex hormones as women. You have estrogen, and this is when we talk about having too much estrogen in the body. Estrogen is basically that hormone that makes you a woman. And the equivalent in men is testosterone. So it's the one that makes you feminine, and it gives you a soft voice, and it regulates your period every month, and it makes you sort of, you know, makes women nice and soft and squishy instead of hard and masculine, muscular like men. It gives you, you know, the fullness in your breast. It's everything that makes you a girl, basically, is estrogen. And your ovaries are the ones that produce estrogen. Estrogen is produced in your ovaries, remember, but regulated and filtered by your liver. That's why I say everything is connected. So your ovaries might be producing the perfect amount of estrogen for your age, for that day of your cycle. And then it's supposed to go through your body, do what it needs to do, whether that's getting your uterus ready for menstruation, whether that's actual menstruation, and then calming down after that happens. But then it's your liver that's supposed to filter out whatever estrogen was produced that month, get rid of it because it's old used estrogen, get rid of it. So then your ovaries are going to produce fresh estrogen the next month. What happens though, if your liver is overburdened, it's tired, it's clogged from consuming all the inflammatory foods, it can't take this month's estrogen that your body has already used, and it can't get rid of it to make space for the new estrogen that's coming the next month. And that's when we see estrogen, what we call estrogen dominance. It's not because your body's producing too much estrogen, your ovaries are not producing too much, it's your liver is not filtering out quickly enough to make way for the new supply of estrogen every single month. The other hormone you have that's important for women is progesterone. And this one really plays a big part during our pregnancies. This is the one where when you're pregnant, it makes sure that your pregnancy stays viable, right? It makes sure that the baby stays healthy. It makes sure that basically you stay pregnant until you deliver. And this is the one that there's it rises during pregnancy, and then as soon as you deliver, it goes down really, really fast. And this is the one where it might give you the postnatal blues because it takes such a plunge right after you deliver your baby. So when we see an imbalance in one of these two hormones, mainly estrogen, this is where you see, because it regulates your period is either not on time, or it's painful, or it's too heavy. You get the PMS before your periods, you get the mood swings, you get the sugar cravings, you get maybe the skin issues, the acne, you get the migraines before your period, you get the night sweats, you get the painful breasts before your periods. All of that is an estrogen imbalance, all right? Next are stress hormones. Now, these are really important too, because we don't talk about them, really. We just say we're stressed all the time without really understanding, well, how does that translate in our bodies? Like when you go to a doctor and he does all the tests on you, right? And he comes back and says, well, according to your test, everything is fine. Your blood sugar is fine, you know, everything is fine. And you're like, but I don't feel fine. Like I feel there's something wrong with me. And typically what the answer is to that is, oh, well, you're stressed. Go home and stress less, you know, go home and figure out how not to be stressed. Which is right and wrong, because yes, usually there's some kind of internal low-grade inflammation being created in our body as a result of stress in our life, but we're not taught how that actually, like what are what's the biochemistry of that in our body? Like, okay, so I have a stressful life. How is that translating into an illness in my body? And the reason that happens is because cortisol, which is your stress hormone, is an adrenaline, another hormone that helps you deal with stress. Both of those are produced, like I've told you, in your adrenal glands, which sit right on top of both of your kidneys. And these are the hormones that help you respond to stress. And whenever we're in a stressful situation, we respond in one of a few ways. We either flee, run away, or we freeze, we don't know what to do, or we fight, we deal with the situation. And then also for some people, something called fawn, which is you kind of pretend like nothing is happening and you smile and just go through your day, which is what a lot of women do. In all of those cases, cortisol is the hormone that it's like waiting for you to decide what you want to do, and then it's going to help you do it. So cortisol is really important. It's there to help us deal with stress, but only when stress comes in small spurts. It's not meant to be, our bodies are not meant to be constantly pumping out cortisol to deal with our modern day lifestyle, right? Our modern day lifestyle is from the minute you wake up, you feel like you're rushed and you have so much to do, and your kids and your husband and getting them ready for school and taking them to school and then getting to work and then dealing with a boss and then dealing with colleagues, and then you have a deadline, and then you have to run back home, and then you have to get your kids ready for practice, and then you take them to practice, and then you come back, and then you have to cook, and then you feed everybody, and then you make sure everybody does their homework, and then you fight with them because that's just what happens. And then finally you get them to sleep and you just want to have some quiet time, or you want to have, you want to spend time alone with your husband and you want to feel loved and supported, and you don't get it, right? All of these are sources of stress. But also on top of that, we have these external sources of stress that cause our body to keep pumping cortisol to deal with it. But then we also have the internal inflammation from the toxic foods that you eat. So on top of your daily stress triggers, kids, husband, work, traffic, life, international events, whatever it is, finances, you also have your body's having to deal with drinking coffee first thing in the morning, eating bread, eating cheese, eating junk, eating sugar, eating all the processed food. Your body is going to respond to your morning cup of coffee in the same way that it's going to respond to you having an argument with your husband. They're both stress triggers. So the body keeps pumping cortisol, pumping cortisol, pumping cortisol until it can't pump cortisol anymore. It gets really, really tired. Your adrenals get really tired, which in turn means you get really tired and you end up exhausted and you have no energy to do anything in your life. Basically, constant fatigue. That's what happens when your stress hormones are imbalanced. And the biggest, there's several symptoms for that. But one of the biggest symptoms to figure out whether you have high cortisol or not, we call the stress belly. So if you feel like you haven't really done anything differently in your nutrition, more or less for the past year, you're eating the same. If you work out, you're working out the same, like you really haven't done anything drastic, but yet you feel like your midsection or your belly just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's a sign of high cortisol in the body, because when the body's continuously pumping out a lot of cortisol, as with estrogen, the liver can't filter it out fast enough. So it has to be stored somewhere. It stores it in your midsection. The other things that can happen, of course, are high blood pressure, right? Because your kidneys and your adrenal glands are responsible for your blood pressure. High blood sugar can also happen when you have too much cortisol. Panic attacks, when you're anxious, anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I said, the fatigue, all of that can happen. You can also have the opposite. You can have low blood pressure also. All of that happens when your body's pumping too much cortisol, which affects the adrenals, which is the organ that produces cortisols. And because the adrenals sit on top of your kidneys, that affects your kidney function also. All right. Finally is your thyroid and metabolic hormones. So this is very familiar to many, many women these days, unfortunately, when you have a thyroid that's not functioning properly. And for thyroid, there's two main ways that your thyroid can be imbalanced. Either it's overactive or it's underactive. If it's overactive, that's hyperthyroidism. And the symptoms for that are basically, you might lose weight really, really, really fast. You might have constant diarrhea all the time. Palpitations, like if your heart is just always like this, even if you're not even exerting any effort. You can't tolerate heat very well. You're anxious, you're nervous, hence the heartbeats. You have trouble sleeping because the heartbeats and the anxiousness and the nervousness. You might feel like your hands, just like this part, can feel warm and red. And if you have curly hair, this is an interesting one. If you have curly hair, you might find that it gets straighter. And like if you go like this, it doesn't hold a curl anymore. And your nails might become really soft and break easily. That's hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism, when it's underactive, is the opposite of that. So instead of losing weight, you can't lose weight no matter what you do. And you have lots, like constant fatigue all the time. You have muscle cramps, you have brain fog, and like you can't focus. Like everything is just a lot slower for you than when there's hyperthyroidism. You can't focus, you can't remember things, you can't, you can't concentrate. Instead of your hands becoming warm and red, your hands get really cold, and you find that maybe just your hands and just your feet get really cold, and the rest of you is warm. Puffy eyes, puffy hands, puffy feet, puffy face. Instead of loose stools, you're always constipated. That's hypothyroidism. All right. And then finally, the last metabolic hormone is insulin. And this one everybody hears about because it's the one that's related to insulin resistance, prediabetes, and diabetes. So insulin produced in your pancreas is a really important hormone because they're all important. But insulin, because this is the one that manages how your body processes sugar. And we know that your body needs sugar as fuel. So it's basically insulin is the one that's responsible for taking this sugar that you consume and driving it into your cells so your cells can use that sugar as fuel. But here's the thing with insulin. It really can't tell the difference between the good sugar and the bad sugar. It's just like, okay, we've got some sugar in the body today. I'm going to take it to the cells. So because that's just its job. That's what it's supposed to do. It takes the sugar, travels with it, finds all your cells, knocks on the door of the cell and says, here, I've got some fuel for you. What happens though is that the cell is the one that determines if this is the right sugar or the wrong sugar. So most people are eating the wrong sugar. So insulin every single day, every single time you eat, is bringing the processed sugar to your cells. The sugar from bread, the sugar from cheese, the sugar from cakes, the sugar from cereals, all of that, every single day, every single time you eat. And at the beginning, the cells are like, well, this isn't really the sugar that we want, but there's nothing else. Okay, fine, I'll take it. And it might take it because it has to, because it's not getting any other source of fuel. But then after a while, your cells get really tired of this. Like, you know what? You're not bringing us the right sugar. So instead of when the insulin comes knocking, the cell saying, fine, it opens up and the insulin drives the sugar into the cell. After a while, the cell is like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. This is the wrong sugar. And it shuts down. And it doesn't allow insulin to drive the sugar into the cell. So insulin resistance is about the cell's resistance to the insulin. That's what happens. The cells become resistant to allowing the insulin to bring in the wrong kind of sugar into the cell. But the insulin is still going to try every single time. It is not going to give up. It's going to keep trying. So what does the body do? It pumps more, and because the body's like, okay, the cells are not responding, let's just put more insulin and let's see what happens. So the body pumps more insulin. Insulin keeps trying to do its job. The cells don't want it. So it starts off as the cells are just being, difficult. They're being resistant to insulin. So then insulin tries some more, and then the cells really shut down. You end up with pre-diabetes because there's way too much insulin. Cells are still shutting down because it's still the wrong fuel. Body's still pumping more and more insulin. Then you end up with diabetes. So this one is so important because people don't understand what the right fuel is and what drives insulin up. What drives insulin up is not necessarily that you're eating something that's full of sugar. It's you're eating something that's full of the wrong sugar, and the body's trying really hard, and insulin is trying really hard to move this sugar into the cell, and the cell is not responding. The other thing about insulin is because after a while, when the cells stop responding and they don't want the sugar, you know what it has to do with this sugar? And because the sugar is toxic, and because the body, if there's something toxic, the body after a while can't process, again, can't eliminate. So what does insulin do? It takes this toxic sugar and takes it to like the safest little parts of your body, which are your fat cells. And it stores this toxic sugar inside your fat cells, around your thighs, outer thighs, inner thighs, under your arms, around your belly. So you gain weight from the stored toxic sugar that you eat. You don't gain weight from healthy fats. Anybody have a question for me? This is like, those books that are like XYZ for dummies. This is it. Hormone ABC for, not that you're dummies, but you know what I mean. This is like the most simplified version of hormone explanation that I can give you. Does anybody have any questions for me? Maha, go ahead.
Hello, Dana.
Hi.
My husband has insulin resistance, and he has been on مثلا on diet sugar اللي هو isosweet and things like this for مثلا 3 years.
Right.
So how long does he expect مثلا to continue on detox until his body responds يعني.
So I'm guessing that he was also eating bread and cheese and pasta and all of the other things, right? So it's not just this sugar substitute that he was taking. This will also drive insulin, by the way. So the body is very smart. You can't trick the body and give it, aspartame, or give it, Splenda, or give it any kind of fake sugar. It knows this is fake sugar. It's going to respond to it in exactly the same way that it responds to actual white sugar, as toxicity. So if your husband has been this way for many, many, many years, it is going to take time to retrain insulin. This can take 6 months. This can take 7 months. We've seen with people very fast results. Within 3 to 6 weeks, they can see all their blood work shift, but to get it to where it's permanently stable can take up to 3 to 6 months. You are literally bringing the insulin levels down. You're retraining insulin. You're retraining your body. You're retraining your cells. So this is going to take time, but fake sugar has to go, because let's say he's doing the program now, and I don't know, for whatever reason, he might still be using fake sugar. Fake sugar has to go. Your body's going to respond to it in exactly the same way that your body responds to the white stuff.
He stopped the fake sugar, but he's consuming a lot of honey and
honey's not dates. Honey and dates are not the problem. Honey and dates are never the problem. These are healing, and these are going to help. The honey, the dates, all the fruits, right? These are not why he got diabetes, right? It's not why.
I know, but does he have to control it in the beginning until his body adjusts?
No, he needs to, from everything you've told me so far on the group, as much as possible, move him away from the traditional cooked vegetables. All right. You want to give him very, very simple foods. You want to give him very, very simple sugars to start to retrain his body, but he doesn't have to control, especially at the very beginning. If he's somebody like, when they're very, very strong, the sugar addiction, it's very strong. So at the very beginning, you need, and you'll find that maybe some of you did that, you overate maybe the dates and the apples and the fruits to compensate for the sugar withdrawal. And that's okay. It's not going to harm you. That will taper off as the sugar addiction gets less and less and less and less, and his body's need for toxic sugar becomes less and less. You'll see that naturally the amounts of even natural sugars that he consumes will decrease on its own.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll try to help him get satisfaction from the basic fruits and vegetables.
Yes. And for a sugar craving, especially, let him have all the fruits, let him have the dates, right? Because he's withdrawing from a very, very strong sugar addiction. Anybody who's withdrawing from a strong sugar addiction needs the support and needs to bring in the natural sugar, again, to retrain the body, to retrain the pleasure centers, that we're not doing the fake toxic sugar anymore. We're doing the real healing sugar. And it's going to, little by little, it's going to ease those the sugar withdrawal symptoms, little by little by little. But it's not going to happen overnight.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let me see, I have some questions here. Riham, I still get night sweats, wake up in the middle of the night and stay awake, have brain fog and still feel dizzy. Is that still normal at this phase? And I have right side abdominal pain and bloating. All right, Riham, today is what? Day 9, but it's only Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Only day 5 of your detox, right? So way too early for us to say no more night sweats, for us to say brain fog is gone, for us to say dizziness is gone. Right now, you're still in the detox withdrawal phase. So especially with things that, if you've ever kept track of it before, that are cyclical, like with your cycle, like night sweats, you want to keep track, like when, if you can remember, if you haven't kept track, when, on what day of your cycle, typically did you used to get night sweats? You want to keep track of that, because then you'll see next month's cycle, and then you'll see the cycle after that. So it's not going to happen in 5 days. Everybody in this program, and myself included, when I was, managing these, you're talking about years and years and years. And you're talking about a liver that has been overworked for 30, 40, 50 years. So this is day 5. Day 5. You might start to feel a little bit of improvements, but if you have, big issues, if you have strong symptoms, 5 days, no, we're just at like the tip of the iceberg. So, but don't be disappointed. It needs to continue, and it needs to slowly, like you're just, we're clearing, we're like dusting, sweeping layers off of your liver, and everybody's liver is a little bit different. So you have to be patient with the process. It can take time. I remember for me, it took me, I think 4 months to get rid of my night sweats. And it took me 6 months to get rid of, I have a fibroid, and it used to cause a lot of pain, ovulation pain. It took 6 months to get rid of the ovulation pain. So be patient with yourself. It's working. It's working. The same way that you can eat inflammatory foods and they create what's called silent inflammation month after month after month, and you don't see that until years after. You don't see the results of that. In the same way, when you remove the inflammatory foods and bring in the healing foods, they're working really, really quietly. And think about it this way: the healing foods have to clear the way first of the toxins. And that's why you have the bloating. They're still clearing. So if you're still bloated, that's a sign of that these fruits are still clearing. The vegetables are still clearing. But then these fruits and vegetables have to go in and rebuild tissue, right? They have to grow new tissue for whatever organ was eroded before, mainly your liver or your ovaries or your lymphatic system or the digestive lining. That's what these fruits do. They literally rebuild very, very, very slowly, rebuild your organs so they can function optimally. This rebuilding process takes time. So everything that you're feeling, you're exactly where you need to be, Riham, right? The right side, abdominal pain, right side, if it's right underneath your right breast, right underneath that, your first rib, your last rib cage bone, that is your liver. So that is a sign that your liver is working. So if you haven't started lemon balm, please start your lemon balm, because the lemon balm is a relaxing herb for the nerves of the liver and the digestive system. So start taking that, and then keep me posted, please. Nuran, why can't we eat nuts and fats at this phase? Also, is it okay to eat acai berries? Lastly, is it normal to notice increased hair fall in the shower? All right. We don't eat nuts and fats in this phase because even though they're good fats, nuts and other fats like avocados, you do have a little bit of olive oil though. This is the phase where we're going deep into the liver. So in order to really, really remove any kind of obstacles for the liver, right? The liver has to work harder to process nuts and to process fats than it does to process an apple or to process your smoothie or to process the vegetables. We want to be able to, give the body nutrient dense foods, but give it foods that take the least amount of effort for your liver and your digestive system so that they can be freed up to regenerate, to rebuild these new cells, to rebuild the new organs. We don't want them too preoccupied with breaking down food. And for some people, even the good fats can be too much. Even when we're done with the heavy detox phase, the nuts and the good fat might be too much for some people. This is something you'll be able to figure out when we get to it. Is it okay to eat acai berries? Yes, as long as it's just the berries. I know that there's some varieties out there that I've seen that have added sugar, so make sure there's no added sugar. And hair fall in the shower, yes, because it's a shedding, right? Same way like we're shedding and releasing, whether that's through diarrhea, whether that's through rashes coming out. Also, right now, we are in the fall season, and because our bodies are in sync with nature, it is normal for, there's a natural shedding during the fall, like trees shed their leaves. Our bodies go through the same thing. So your body's going to shed anyway, sort of the old hair that it doesn't need, make space for fresh new hair. All right, but when it comes to hair also, we're going to get to that next week when we talk about supplements and we talk about skincare. There are specific things to also do to strengthen your hair. We're going to get to that next week. Maha, do you have another question for me?
Yes, please. I totally forgot when I was يعني focused on you answering the last question, but I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It'll come to you. It'll either during, you know, our session today or anytime, whenever it comes to you, you can post it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else have a question for me today? Are you a little bit more clear, at least, on which set of hormones is the one that's imbalanced for you? It could easily be that you have a little bit of all the hormones imbalanced for you. Like you have some estrogen dominance, you know, some cortisol in there, plus a thyroid. Because the body's connected, it's not strange when we see more than one set of hormones impacted at the same time. So this is, again, it's knowledge for you, it's power for you to understand your body, understand the systems, understand how the systems get impacted, and then understand that you are the one who has the power to rebalance everything.
Yes, I remember. May I?
Okay. Yeah.
Fibroids. I heard you saying that you have fibroids.
Yes.
Does it go away completely while the pain starts to be يعني less?
Well, mine shrunk. So mine, according to ultrasound, they used to be I think 12.5 centimeters, and now they're 8. So they actually shrunk. And I guess part of them shrinking, as they shrink, the pain is less, right? So it's smaller. And fibroids are basically, what they are is when you have excess estrogen and the body doesn't know what to do with it. One of the places, you know, it gets stuck in your liver, but another place that it basically, the body dumps it back in your uterus. And over the years, it grows into a fibroid. So it's caused by, basically the root cause again is inflammation. So I was like, I had the fibroid since I was like, I think 36 or 37. That's when I discovered I had it. And I had horrible ovulation pains, like only ovulation pains related to the fibroid, not period cramps. Don't ask me why. So every month I used to take something like 30 painkillers during the 3 days of ovulation, 3 or 4 days of ovulation. I would have to take like a whole box of painkillers. It was that bad. And then I became a health coach, and then I removed all the main inflammatory foods. So the wheat, the dairy, the sugar, that main list. And the pain became incredibly less. Like I went from 30 pills to maybe like 4 pills a month, like crazy. It went away because the inflammation just went right back down. But I was still eating, you know, every single day. I was eating red meat, I was eating chicken, I was eating, you know, either or fish, I was eating eggs. And then as my body went through like the hormonal shifts that it's supposed to go through, when I was 44 or 45, the pain started to come back again. And so and that's when I had to figure out, right, like I'm not eating bread, I'm not eating cheese, I'm not eating cakes or cookies or doing anything, like I'm just eating straight from nature. But that's when I needed to tweak a little bit more. And that's when I learned that, right, if I have a fibroid and if I'm having all these pains, it means my body's not able to process its own hormones. I need to take a break from anything else that contains hormones to let my body heal. And so that's why I removed all animal protein and eggs and everything. And then I did that for 3 months, and then the ovulation pain completely went away. And then I don't know how long it took my fibroid to shrink, because I measured it when I was 36 and then I measured it when I was 45. So I don't know if it shrunk in 10 years or a few months, but it went from 12.5 to 8.5. And all the pain and everything went away with it.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
will يعني continue measuring. يعني I have fibroids too.
Yeah.
But in my first cycle, after my first cycle, alhamdulillah, all the pains يعني was down. I didn't take حتى a single pill.
Yeah.
And I used to take مثلا about 6, 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really satisfied, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Yeah. I don't take any right now. So I basically went from 30 to 0 in terms of painkillers, nothing. And my father is a doctor. He's also a gynecologist. When I first got it, their first solution, doctors, right? It's like, oh, well, just go remove your uterus. It's like, unless you're done, you had your babies, you know, you're in your 40s, just go remove it, just be rid of it. I was like, no, Dad, I'm not just gonna go remove an organ. Like, that's just the conventional way, right? And I didn't have to remove it. I didn't have to remove anything. I got it, dealt with it, shrunk it, it's done. So it's so important to be able to know that, so that you can, it's, you know, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. It's about really learning and empowering yourself about your health. There might be situations where the only solution is, right, it's too late, you need to take something removed. But remember, like, God didn't send us here with defective spare parts, and he didn't send us with extra parts so that you can just get rid of one and everything will be okay. There is a reason why you have every single organ, and there's a reason why our organs break down. It's not random. And if you figure out the reason why it broke down, then you can figure out how to heal it and bring it back to balance. And prevention is always so much stronger than treatment, right? So let's get into the habit of prevention. I know here we're all sort of in damage control mode to some extent with our symptoms, because we only learned this information in our 40s. But for those of you who have families and those of you who have kids, remember this, that everything we're dealing with now as adults started in childhood. So if you have children, you have a golden opportunity to set up a different foundation for them completely, so that, you know, God willing, they go through their life and then not have to get to the point where they have to go through damage control. They're just not, it's just not going to happen. Like, their bodies are just not going to erode the way that our bodies did. So always keep that in mind, and always be inquisitive, and always be asking, and always say, why did this happen? Why is this happening? What is the root cause? Don't ever take surface answers. Always ask why. And then whatever answer you get, ask why again. And then whatever answer you get, ask why again. This is how you truly become empowered and responsible for your health. A whole bunch of questions here. Hang on. When will we start to feel good, energized, focused again? This can take, for some people, can take a couple of weeks. For some people, today is what, Monday? It might happen by Friday or Saturday, based on my experience. Enjoy the process, right? You're not here to just do something for 21 days and then be done with it. So enjoy and accept where your body's at, and it's going to happen. We know the process works. We don't know when. Can never say when, but we know that it will. Can we have salad after the smoothie before lunch? Yeah, if you're still hungry, if you want to have a salad. I mean, I always say wait at least 2 hours, but there's nothing that says you can't do that. Inji, is insomnia also one of the symptoms? I couldn't sleep although I was very tired. Yes. So if your liver is working hard and it's detoxing, and we know that the liver works at night, imagine your body's kind of like this engine, okay, and you have this little part of the engine that's, working at night. It's going to keep you up. So it's a good thing, because, your liver is working. Just give it some time also. What helps with this is magnesium oil spray, because magnesium is a relaxant. So you can take the magnesium oil spray, you can massage it all over your abdominal area, specifically around your liver, put a little bit on the bottoms of your feet also, and that will help to relax your body and help you go into deeper sleep. I feel so tired all the time. So this means that your body, if you're still really, really tired all the time, one, make sure you're not skipping meals. So make sure you're not deciding that this is a lot of food, because I see this happen all the time. If you're coming from any kind of diet mentality, you're worried that this is a lot of food. So you will decrease the food because you're afraid of gaining weight, or you're afraid that you won't lose weight if you eat all of this food. So don't decrease any of the quantities. They're literally a medicinal quantity of vitamins and minerals. And what boosts the body? vitamins and minerals. So make sure you're not decreasing anything. Make sure you're not going for more than 2 hours without the food, because then the body is going to have to go into panic mode. And if it goes into panic mode, if it's not getting enough food, it's going to pump cortisol. And the more the body has to pump cortisol, the more that leads to fatigue down the line. Make sure that your last meal is at least 3 or 4 hours before you sleep, because your liver and your body can't digest properly while you sleep. So you won't sleep, so you'll be tired. And if your sleep-wake cycle is still not in the way it needs to be, according to the natural rhythm, I would say that's the next thing to address. And if you don't get enough sunshine. So this is a big one. Most people are sitting indoors all day. Most people are not getting vitamin D in its natural source every single day. That can affect your energy, and that can affect the quality of your sleep. So you want to be able to, first thing in the morning, without sunscreen, without anything, go outside and get 30 minutes of sunshine, whether that's a walk, whether that's sitting in your garden, whether that's sitting in your balcony. You want straight up, unadulterated vitamin D from the sun first thing in the morning. And that's it. Try all these things and let me know. Anybody else have a question or comment for me? Sunlight through glass doesn't count. No, it does not count. Nothing. You need to be outside. You need to feel the sun's rays on your body. If it's possible for you, either at home, if you have a private space, if you have a balcony, if you have a garden, anything that's covered, where you can go out there and like sit in your shorts and a t-shirt, because what you want is your biggest the biggest parts of your body, like your thighs. And like, it's not enough to just go outside and just like get my face. That's not enough. You want your arms, you want as much exposure as possible. All of your arms and all of your legs for 30 minutes without sunscreen. Then I had asked about diarrhea. Rasha, yeah, I think I answered you on Instagram. How many times are you going, Rasha, every day? Let me know how many times. Nahla, go ahead while Rasha answers. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Actually, I'm having difficulty of eating this amount of salads.
Okay.
I couldn't complete it yesterday. I tried hard.
Okay.
I think maybe because of the onions.
So when you say difficulty, walk me through that, as in, it's just a
feel
lot,
body-
like you just get full, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to look at the vegetables anymore.
It's all right. So how much are you actually ending up eating?
Maybe if it's half the quantity, it would be okay, or
Okay.
2/3. But
Okay.
this full quantity in lunch is okay, but
Okay.
in dinner, it's difficult.
Okay. Are you feeling, is it giving you any other difficulty besides just the quantity?
No, the only thing is I'm trying to fulfill the quantities that we should eat, but
Okay.
I'm not able.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Remember, this is, the 9 days. This is just it's the most challenging time, right? And already it's Monday. You literally have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 more days, and then Friday is your juicing day. So anybody can do anything for 6 days. And that's what this deep detox is, 6 days. And then you guys will have the choice at the end of the 9 days, how you want to move forward. But when you feel like there's just something that is a challenge and it feels like you can't go anymore, like I told you yesterday, there's always the breakdown before the breakthrough. Like that's when most people give up on anything in life, right? And it gets really, 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 really hard. Like, oh, plus I can't do it. But that was actually the moment that you should have kept going and pushed through to get the result that you want. So if you're eating like half of it or 2/3 of it, that's fine. chew really, really slowly and really, really take your time with it. That might also help. But I would say you could also then, if you're not having any for dinner, maybe divide it up and have half for lunch and half for dinner.
Okay. But this would be okay because of the quantity of vitamins and...
Yeah, because the way it stands now, you're not having anything at dinner time, right? You're not having a salad at dinner.
No, I'm having, but I
Oh.
cannot complete.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. Do whatever it is you're doing now, as much as you can at lunch, as much as you can at dinner.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
For
Go ahead.
children who they have ADHD,
Yeah.
this has to do with hormonal imbalance as well?
This is chemical imbalances, and this is definitely, I mean, the same. It's a type of inflammation in the body, and this is something mostly caused by heavy metals in the brain and in the body. And so what has to happen is you need to detox the heavy metals out of the body. So the solution is the same.
So the same detox that we are doing is a solution for that as well?
Yes.
This will get out the heavy metals? You mean
Yes.
heavy metals like copper, mercury?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, for children, it's very difficult to control them.
If you, moms, if you're not the one who's able to parent, then who can? Like, if you're not the one in control of a child, then who can?
No, I mean to say they go to school, they go to club, they practice. Sometimes they're not in front of your eyes, so you don't know what they're eating.
That you maybe, but in what you can control at home, I would start with that.
Okay.
Right.
But this would help because they are giving them certain medicines which I think it's very bad and they're very expensive and very bad. So
it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Yeah. It's a
So your opinion is to go for them for the detox.
Yeah. Remove the milk, remove the cheese, remove the junk, remove the chips, remove the whatever it is they eat, remove the cookies, remove the cakes, remove the pasta. Let them eat vegetables and a ton of fruits, and very good, because you want also the animal protein for them to also be really, really high quality animal protein. Get rid of anything that comes from a kushk. Don't even stop at the kushk. This is not food. This is garbage.
Yeah.
You have to start training them. Nothing that you see on TV, nothing that they see on TV, nothing that they see on a billboard. This is all garbage. And this is why we have a whole generation of sick kids and a whole generation of adults who are getting sick. This is not food. And start to train them. If they see an ad for anything to eat or drink, it's junk, it's garbage, it's not food. You see it on TV, it's junk, it's garbage, it's not food. This is how you start to teach your kids to think for themselves, and just because this is programming, right? Everything you see on TV, like, have you ever seen a commercial for apples or broccoli on TV?
No,
you ever seen a billboard for dates? No, you see McDonald's, you see Pizza Hut, you see the flavored yogurt, you see the chips, you see the power drinks, you see the horrible seed oils, you see everything in the advertisements. All the food that makes everybody sick is the food that people are paying for you to see, because it's subtle messaging, right? Here's what everybody's eating. Here's the food. When they do a commercial for Coke and everybody looks all happy around the table, and it's like, you make the connection that when we drink Coke during Ramadan, we're all around the table eating together. Everybody's happy. Coke makes us happy.
Actually, no.
We know, no, right? And when you see, again, everybody eating and drinking, you think it sort of cements that, well, if everybody's doing it, then it must be okay. No. And then a lot of people will say, well, if it was so dangerous, the government wouldn't allow it. Really? Because what? Because any government in the world is you're the priority. Like, I think we all know now, right? We're not the priority. Yeah. And for us to naively think that if it was so bad, the government wouldn't allow it on the supermarket shelves, no.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Rasha, can you speak now? I added you.
Yes, I can, Zana. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I had told you about, I'm good. I'm just, since Thursday, I've been having severe diarrhea,
Yep.
loose stools, sometimes up to 4 or 5 times a day.
Okay.
And I feel drained. I feel like I'm dehydrated in a way because as I told you, I'm drinking water, but
Yep.
I don't think I'm drinking as much as I am excreting.
Right.
And I have piles, so that hurts a bit. So should I be having diarrhea until today?
Yes. I mean, can you have diarrhea until today? Yes, of course. Does it wake you up at night?
No, but as soon as I wake up in the morning, I need to use the bathroom right away.
That's good. Everybody should be doing that. By the way, at some point, first thing you do in the morning is you wake up and empty. That's something that is normal and that's what should be happening. Here's what we can do for you though. Let's add.
But it's just a bit, it's a bit loose. It's kind of very loose. It's very watery and I'm sorry, it's disgusting, but I just need to tell you that. I don't even see the pattern because it's very watery. It's just.
Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing.
And I'm having severe rumbling in my stomach, like voices, echoes. It's crazy.
Yay. Okay, that's good. But here's the thing: if it's becoming, there's nothing wrong with it. Still, at this point, for you to have diarrhea. But like I always say, there's no reason to stay in discomfort. So I would add, don't change anything, but add a little bit, like 1 boiled potato to lunch and 1 boiled potato for dinner. And let's see if that helps to slow it down for you. You're still going to be detoxing, but your body is detoxing really fast. So let's just slow it down.
Okay, and I was talking to you about broccoli. I omitted the broccoli in the dinner yesterday. I ate it at lunch, but I didn't eat it at dinner. That's okay?
Why did you do that?
Because the day before, I had severe gas and it was broccoli. So yeah. I had it for lunch and I didn't want that to happen so I can sleep well.
Okay.
Because as soon as I went to bed, the gas was stopping me from sleeping.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try then. Can you try blending all the vegetables into a soup?
I feel that's gonna taste like baby stuff.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It doesn't actually taste that bad at all, but at least your body's going to get the benefit of the broccoli without the body having to put in a lot of work to break the broccoli down.
So you want me to roast the vegetables and then boil them and then put them in the blender? With the potato? With the 1 potato?
No, leave the potato to the side. Eat that one whole, okay? But the green vegetables, blend them into a soup, either with a little bit of water or the water that if you're boiling them, use the water that you were boiling them in or some vegetable broth and have the potato separately. You could also, for you might want to have the potato as a snack. If you want to do that also, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have another question about hormones. Like we're all detoxing to balance our hormones and our body work properly. But are there certain foods that can boost, like all of us have different levels of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone and DHEA and whatever. So are there certain foods that because you were talking about the Dutch test and I did the Dutch test. So I know the levels I'm falling behind in. Right. And are there certain foods that can boost certain hormones?
The foods that you're eating right now. Exactly.
Oh, so they're all for the same. I mean, what's good for
because the system is one, right? Your system is like Nehla's system, is like Marwa. The system is the same, like my system. We all have the same exact system. Okay, the system breaks down because of toxicity and because of deficiency. Everybody's system breaks down for the same 2 reasons. So the same toxicity that is giving you maybe extra estrogen is the same toxicity that's giving somebody else migraines. The source is the same. So the healing process is the same. You have to remove the inflammation that caused the system to break down. And then you have to replenish with the foods that it's going to regenerate the system so it can function optimally. And then when it comes to hormones specifically, these are all the very specific foods that are going to help boost your hormones, boost them, balance them, whatever it is that your particular body needs.
Okay, so we're all have the same system. It just shuts down because of allergies, but the way we
No,
react
not
to it,
allergies.
you mean, is different.
No, not allergies. No, not allergies.
No, I mean,
because of toxins, right? None of you are
yeah.
allergic to wheat. None of you are allergic to cheese. Wheat and dairy and all that list is they're toxins that our body doesn't recognize as nutrition. Our body recognizes as toxins. Food is fuel. Food is information for your body. So when you give your body the wrong fuel or you give it the wrong information, think of your body as a car or think of your body as a computer. If you put the wrong information in a computer to try and program it, you can't program it. It'll crash. If you put the wrong gasoline in, you take 6 different types of cars, 6 different brands of cars, they all need the same gasoline. If you give them all the right gasoline, they're all going to go fast. They're all going to go smooth. They're not going to break down for many years. You take the same 6 cars and you give them all the wrong gasoline, they're going to break down. They're not going to go as fast. They're not going to go as far. They're going to break down. It's the same thing. The engines in all the cars are exactly the same on the inside. Maybe the outside, they look a little bit different, but the main engine functions in the same way. It needs the same type of care. It needs the right gasoline. It needs the oil changed every once in a while. It needs like a tune-up every once in a while. If that will help you sort of understand where I'm coming from. Our bodies are the same thing. It's the same engine on the same side, inside. We all have the same engine.
Yeah, I understand. And one more question. Can I have vegetable broth in the middle or with my lunch, for example, the one that you, the recipe that you had on your clean eating guide?
Yes, you can definitely do that. You can use that to make the soup, or you can have it separately if you want. Yes.
Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see here. Dina, I'm not energetic, and maybe because I'm skipping meals because I have nausea all the time, or diarrhea, or drained, or hate vegetables or salads in that amount, or maybe because all of those combined together. I am more of an animal protein lover person, so cutting it out is the worst for me. So I start skipping meals eventually, and it makes me worse. But I don't know how to force feed my body. Okay, Dina, I need you to email me, please. Email me. This is going to take a bit of a back and forth with the two of us, so please email me. All right. Nuran, is it okay to use sesame oil on our hair while it's still a seed oil that we shouldn't use on skin? No, for your hair, the best oil for your hair is castor oil. Like if you're talking, you know, to improve hair quality and to prevent hair loss, it would be castor oil. Dina, are there certain foods to boost fertility? Because I'm struggling to getting pregnant naturally with having to go through IVF and again. Dina, I'm already 35 and struggling with pregnancy. All right, so quickly, because I'm mindful of time, Dina, email me and I will help you with all of these. But infertility is inflammation. Again, same thing. But the way that the toxicity is showing up in your body is you're not able to get pregnant. It's the same root cause. It's because your reproductive system is inflamed. It's not able to function the way it's supposed to function because it's inflamed. I don't know what you've done in terms of testing, but inflammation could also be coming from your husband, because if he's eating the same things and his reproductive system is inflamed and your reproductive system is inflamed, it's not going to function the way it needs to function in order for you to get pregnant. So what we're doing is we're removing the inflammation, right? And it's not about eating certain foods to boost fertility. It's the same thing again. We're removing the toxic foods and replenishing the deficiency. So if you were mostly a meat eater, you weren't getting the vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, live vitamins, live minerals, live hydration that's needed to support, in your particular case, the reproductive system so it can do whatever it needs to do. So this is exactly what you need to be doing. And I have had couple of clients who couldn't have babies, did this program, got pregnant. I can't guarantee it. I'm never going to say that you're going to get pregnant after doing this program, but it has happened. But if we're looking at inflammation, it's going to make getting pregnant so much more difficult. You have to get rid of inflammation. You have to replenish the deficiency. All right. Dina, please email me so that we can discuss your longer question. And Iman, go ahead and ask me your question. Last question before we take off today. Go ahead, Iman.
Good morning. Today I have a family emergency, so I didn't get the surly or the smoothie. Okay, in the morning. I'm now drinking it.
Okay.
But it's too late. It's almost one. It's time now for lunch. Almost. So can I skip a meal for it?
Yeah, this is actually, I'm sorry for your family emergency. I hope that everything is okay. But this is the perfect example of when life happens, right? Life is not always going to be, I wake up on time and I have everything on time. And what she did is the perfect example of, right, I'm just going to manage the day that didn't quite go the way that I wanted it to go. So you're perfectly fine, Iman. You want to start the day today. Obviously, one of the meals is going to go, and that's fine.
I need Kaman to admit that I missed them. I felt that I should drink them. I should prepare it yesterday so I can.
Okay, see,
no one will believe me, but it's okay. I miss my smoothies.
Good.
I hate broccoli. I hate broccoli, but I will eat it. I'm the one who write.
I know you made all the vegetables. But here's the thing, like once we're done with this and you can go where you can add different kinds of marinades and things to the vegetables, I have a feeling you'll start enjoying them more. But this, I know, but this is the 6 days that are the most challenging. But yeah, no, but you manage that really, really, really well. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, ladies, I'll see you all again, same time, same place tomorrow. Dina, please don't forget to email me and keep posting all your questions, keep supporting each other, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Have a great day, ladies.